Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Chanel in the City. I am your host, Chanel Omari, and I have two special guests joining me over Zoom today. Please welcome back award-winning actor Kevin Bacon and Emmy-winning composer Michael Bacon, aka the Bacon Brothers, aka music legends. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. You know, this pandemic has brought everyone closer together. Talk to us, Kevin, Michael, each of you take your turns about how you and your families have been doing during this difficult time.
Well, I'll start. My wife and I are really quite lucky because a year ago we've lived in New York, 35 years, and we decided 14 months ago that maybe we would try living out of the city, and we moved into our house in Pennsylvania. So when the epidemic hit, we were already pretty much ensconced in the country. The nearest neighbor is probably a quarter of a mile away. We're on a little tiny, country road, and so we're really very lucky. And I teach two different colleges in New York, and in March they both went online, and now I'm back teaching online. So I'm not commuting back and forth to New York 3 days a week. So for us, it's been, wonderful, and actually a wonderful time for us. And I'm very thankful. And I'm at the same time very well aware of what a better situation we ended up having by sheer luck. And I feel the difficulties, and I'm very well aware of them. And, I wish everybody could have it as good as we do.
And Kevin, and we'll get to the music soon because I know that the album is inspired a lot by what happened with Corona and this pandemic and the family. So Kevin, how are you and Kira and the kids doing, and your family?
Well, I mean, to echo what Michael said, we have a tremendous amount of gratitude for the fact that we have a roof over our head and food to eat, and each other, and we're healthy. So these are things that if you wake up every day and you start with that, it becomes pretty hard to complain about your situation. It's kind of interesting when you think about the fact that we've been married we're about to have our 32nd anniversary. Never in the course of our marriage have we spent this much time together. So it's new. It's kind of like new in a weird sort of way, because we are really like completely on top of each other. Luckily, we have, a house that has more than one bedroom, so that she can go someplace and I can go someplace, and we meet for meals, basically. And what's going to be even more interesting is that I have to stay on the East Coast for work, and she has to go to the West Coast for work. So conversely, we're about to enter a situation where we will never have been apart for such a long time. Because normally in the course of our lives, we hop on a plane and we go and see each other, and we, try to keep it down to a few weeks that we're apart. But because of quarantines and because the travel is going to be so limited between LA and New York, and the amount of time that we would need, I don't know when we're going to see each other. So that's going to be its own kind of challenge.
Well, while we're on this note, because everyone's asking, how do the Bacon brothers keep such a successful, healthy relationship and marriage in general, and also during this pandemic? Because, a lot of people have had issues, and maybe the two of you can share some hopeful tips with us, not to repeat, but as you echoed, there's different rooms, right?
Yeah, that helped.
Michael?
Well, for us, it's a little bit different because Betsy and I, and we've been married for 45 years. We have been working together when we first moved to New York. And before then, when I was a folk singer in the disco era, Betsy had a teaching degree, and she fed our family for many years. And when we decided to move to New York, she got a job running a preschool right away, so that in the 2 years that I spent pounding the pavement with a bunch of cassettes trying to get a job, we were able to survive until I actually did get a job. And then when I started doing better, I said, let's stop with the teaching. You've done that. let's work together. And we pretty much went in every day to an office and a recording studio and worked together. So for us, now that we're, not, I wouldn't say quarantine, but we're isolated together, it's not really that much different. But to answer your question, I don't really know that there's a good answer to that. We wrote a song, one of the first songs we ever did, called Only a Good Woman. And that's probably the answer to that question. And I don't know that I can take any credit for, I mean, I do my best, but I really think I'm married to a really great woman, and somehow we keep going and we're happy.
Love that. Any last thoughts on that too, Kevin, with you and Kira?
I mean, we have a song on the new record called Play, which is kind of like an answer to that song. And I would say that to me, people always talk about how much work it is, that you have to really work at it. And our attitude is, well, yeah, but it's really about play.
Love that. Now let's get into the new music. Now that you've had a lot of time to create, I'm sure, during quarantine, we're all creators, we're all artists. It's been a little easier for us. We're blessed because our minds are always going. Talk to us about the new album, the new single, The Way We Love, which I love. We're obsessing over it. And we're going to get into also the Coronatone video. Talk to us a little bit about the inspiration behind this new album and how it sets you apart from the other albums that you've made.
I guess I'll jump in on that. I think that Kevin and I both agree that if you're still writing songs, and the songs, at least in our minds, are getting better, and we're getting to be better singers, we're going to be better instrumentalists, the band is tighter, the gigs are better, management is better, the booking agency, all these things. And so I think it's just sort of a logical extension, but always we are driven, supported by the songs that we write. And if we don't write new songs, we'll have no place to go. So luckily, Kevin has been in a writing bloom, and if I write 2 good songs a year, I'm happy and
Right.
and proud. But so I think that we never really intended to make a record. I always think of records. I always think side A, side B, an extension, I think, of a CD, and it's got 10 or 12 songs on it. And once you have enough songs for a CD, then that's like a milestone in the career, and you print it and you put it out. Probably don't sell them except at gigs, but that's a good place to sell them because people want to take music home that night. But I think this time since we didn't really have a real concept of we're going to go in the studio now, we had songs sort of piling up and videos that we had done. And I think it was more of a single kind of release, which is a much more contemporary concept for music now. Not something that I'm not used to, but it makes sense. And it's kind of fun because every time you put one out, there's a little energy comes back at you, and people are interested. And Kevin has a new video that he did on the song Bigger, which is an absolutely gorgeous song, and the video is spectacular. That'll come out in a couple of weeks, and then all of a sudden we'll have another little child to push out there in the world and see if they can survive. So I think if anything's new, I think it's less thinking in a concept of a CD and more kind of thinking in terms of singles. The record was really released kind of right when the pandemic was hitting. And for a lot of bands, this time of year, they're getting the tour buses booked and making sure they got the staff, and the musicians are all rehearsing, and everybody's kind of going out to do live shows. And not so much thinking about recording. But so the fact that it hit kind of right when we had all these songs, it gave us something to focus on. And I think the ultimate for any band is playing out live. That's where you get the most back. I think that's where every band does, at least in their own minds, does their best work. So we at least had something, and since the pandemic, we've had like 4 singles, going on 5 now. So another example of we just sort of lucked out with this thing, and we had something to do and something to work for and something to look forward to.
I love that. Kevin, what was the inspiration also from your end for this album?
Yeah, I mean, I think that whenever I tend to write a song, I think to myself, okay, that was the last one. You know, it's not like songwriting comes all that easily. And so the fact that we had um, songs, enough songs that we were happy with and felt good about to turn into, an actual collection was kind of surprising to me. I kind of figured we were just going to keep rolling out the singles, but I really like this record. I feel like it's got some really good stuff on it, and I'm very proud of it.
Yeah, I think it's also giving us a lot of hope. It's hopeful joy, right? It's because we've had such tragedy and we're looking for music to just kind of take us out of that funk. Coronatone, the video starts, in a cemetery and you walking in your suit. Can you talk to us a little bit about the creativity inspiration behind that? I thought that was really cool and deep.
Yeah, well, the song started happening probably, I'd say, a couple of weeks after we went into lockdown. The last thing that I did in a public creative way was we recorded 4 songs, I think, for the record on about what would be about March 13th, I believe. I was in the middle of shooting a television show at City on a Hill in New York, and I had the day off, and we went into the studio, and I remember we were just kind of learning about social distancing. So we weren't really hugging, but we definitely weren't wearing masks. That was like pre-mask. We were doing a lot of hand washing. And it's so weird to think like how life was even when we knew there was something going on was still so different. But we cut, I think 4 of the songs that are there. And the very next day, or actually during that recording session, I got a call that my show was shutting down. And I just had a feeling that it was time for me to get out of Dodge. So I flew to California where my wife and kids were. And we were there for about 3 months. So I'd say probably a couple of weeks into the lockdown, Coronatone just sort of started coming to me. And it really was a question of thinking about my parents, who I can't say that I really think about them every day. I mean, obviously I love them and they were important to me, but they've been dead for quite some time. But this made me kind of think about them and think about how they would be reacting to this very strange time. And so it came out. I cut the song in L.A. Michael sent the cello on a file, and we mixed it, and then went back to the East Coast after, I don't know, 2 or 3 months. And I've been in Northwestern Connecticut since then. And I went out and just said, I think I got an idea for a video, and let's just start shooting it. And I tried to shoot it myself, but I really needed help. And then Kira came out and she basically started directing it. It's all iPhone and GoPro. And then Michael did the same thing, put his side of it down in Pennsylvania, and his wife was on his crew.
Wow, that in Pennsylvania, it looked like you guys were in the same.
I know.
Oh, wow, that's incredible.
That's my acting ability.
You guys are all talented people right there. Go on, sorry.
But wait, I gotta tell you a little story about me in that video. So we have this place up in the Adirondacks that is very rustic. It's been our family forever, but there's no electricity. You have to take a boat to get there. Place is falling apart. And generally when I'm up there, I don't shave, and I have crappy clothes, because we're always trying to keep the camp from falling apart. So Kevin calls me up and says he wants me to do a video of the cello. And I said, well, we're up in the Adirondacks. How much time do we have? He said, well, I'm kind of trying to get it done quickly. Well, can you just use a guitar and wear a black T-shirt? And here I am, with probably this very T-shirt on. And a week of beard growth and a crappy guitar that I keep up there that, it's minus 40 degrees in the winter. And that's the guitar I keep and just leave there. So I said, no. I don't have a beautiful movie star suit that you are dancing around your video with professional directors and camera lighting and all this kind of stuff. So I said, no. I knew I had a black suit down in Pennsylvania. At least I got to get that. So I said, okay, going to have to wait for 4 or 5 days. And I got my black suit on, and we're right along a stream. And we hired a friend of ours to come and shoot it, who's actually a professional filmmaker. It's a young woman that, an old friend who lives down the road. And we just kind of walked up the stream carrying my cello, which is really, you're not really supposed to play the cello in a stream. It's not generally the type of thing.
Right. Thank you for giving us that lesson, Professor, because I was thinking that too.
We were slogging up the stream, and I had to take my pants off because I didn't want to get my beautiful black suit all wet.
We cut that part out. The power with the
Oh, you should see the footage. You should see the outtake. So, and we carried a chair, and I put the chair down, and then our friend had this dog, a standard poodle, I think, or something like that. And this dog constantly running around like crazy, getting in all the shots, splashing everybody. But, we got this stuff done, and I'm really proud of that video. I think it's just gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
And,
that's a great word. Gorgeous. It's a gorgeous video.
And it wasn't easy, but we got it done.
That's why all the listeners have no excuses. If you can get that video done the way you just said it, we have no excuse if we want to make it. Let's talk about, before, last fall I interviewed you both. I was at your performance. You were playing Play, and so many things just changed since then, right? Playing live. How do you now, what is your advice to other artists out there, or just in general, how are you guys transitioning and adapting to the times? And where do you see the music and film industry heading?
Well, I think the hard thing for everybody who is an artist right now is clearly making a living. And that applies to most people in most kind of jobs. It's a very difficult time to make ends meet. And if you are an artist, a musician, or an actor, or whatever it is, a performing artist, most performing artists are living hand to mouth anyway. So it's an even more of a challenge when you just don't have, and that applies to people that work in venues and mix shows. And my son's a musician, so I know firsthand how difficult it is for him. Everything that he does for a living all ties back to live music, whether it's touring or mixing or whatever. So it's a really, really difficult time. I think that the for your own state of mind, I guess, creating things is some kind of a safety valve in a way, if you can go there. But I also caution people to not put too much pressure on themselves to write the greatest opus ever, because there's times, even though, we've done a lot of creative stuff and written some songs and done some videos and stuff. I mean, there's days when I can't think of anything to do. I just find myself staring at the wall. And when the pandemic first hit, everybody said, okay, well, this is great. I can learn to, play the cello. It's not necessarily going to happen. So you have to kind of let yourself off the hook about that, I think.
I think it's also incredible that with the charity, both of you are very charitable. You're always giving back. Kevin, you have 6 degrees of separation, even during the pandemic. There was a video that went viral for the Corona video that you helped everybody do the challenge. Why do you guys both think it's so important? And what are you guys pushing now in terms of charity? What do you think we need to know or we need to do to give back?
I'll let Kevin take that. I think that luckily, one of the things I miss very much about being on the road is when 6degrees.org will arrange drop-ins for us, where we can go to an organization and just come and play music. And that's kind of the only thing I know how to do. And if I can do that, particularly with my brother, to make somebody's organization a little more successful, I mean, that is not any sacrifice to me whatsoever. So I rely on, his organization, and I've done some stuff independently of Kevin within his organization, and still am of working with kids in the Grammy organization. So, but it's really hard for me to think that I'm doing anything that's a major hardship for me, because I love doing it. It's easy for me to do. The only thing I know how to do, and if someone asks me to do it, I'm generally really ready to do it.
Yeah, I mean, 6degrees.org is still rolling along. It's such a great question, and we have a couple of really exciting things down the pipeline, but I'm not quite at that point where I could talk about them, but I'm hoping that will be in the next couple of weeks. We launched a I Stay Home For campaign when the pandemic first hit. That was really became pretty viral, which was kind of cool. We were excited about that. I have so much, and as I said, so many good things have happened to me in my life. So when you put yourself in the head of trying to do little things or big things or whatever to give back, it's really about what you get from it. It really pays you back. I almost try not to think of it as giving. I try to think of it as receiving. And if you can put yourself in that mindset, there's tons to do right now. I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be hungry, and so that in and of itself is something to focus on.
And they can go visit 6degrees.org for any donations or any more information.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Awesome. Okay, let's talk about what makes your band so successful. Michael, if you want to start, with what do you think? What makes your band? You've lasted for a very long time. You're still going. It's tough to have a very successful music band. What makes you guys successful?
Well, I think the first thing is the amount of experience that not only my brother and I bring to it, but also the guys in the band. A lot of them, I've in fact, one of them sent a video that some of the guys in the band were in from 1983. And when you put that many years into anything, you kind of have seen it all. And as long as you're growing and not getting stuck in the past, you can be a very, very effective musician. So we're very reliant on these guys. They can go anywhere they want. We want them to go: hard rock, punk, country, folky, intimate, jazzy, all those things. They can play when they're asleep if they have to. But I think that one of the reasons the band has been successful is that we really care about the live show, and we have over the years maximized our investment in it, with particularly the amount of musicians we play with, the amount of stuff we bring. I mean, when you look at our stage, it looks like a music store. And the kind of quality support staff we work with, our management, our booking agent, I believe that we put on our show is competitive with any show of anybody else. And the other thing about it is when we go out to play, we're not a band that had a hit 25 years ago or 10 years ago. We've never had anything break into the public domain. We've had to work for everything that we've done. And it's a very slow process. We have a small but mighty following. We put a lot into the videos. We try to make videos of all the songs if possible. I mean, it's lucky that, Kevin has those kind of talents, which is, I don't have, but that certainly helps a lot. So I think the main thing is if somebody came to hear our show and had never heard of us and came in to see what a movie star or what color socks he was wearing, and they walked out and said, man, those guys are great. They are really committed. The songs are great. They're great singers. The band is great. And we had a wonderful time, and I will be back. That's it. That's it for me.
I want the listeners to pay attention to that, because that's super important. That's why you do what you're supposed to. Those are the reasons why you're supposed to do what you do. Kevin, what's your What's your opinion?
I think that when we first put the band together, we had enough songs to kind of cobble a set together. Even though those songs they went back probably 10 or 15 years before the band even happened. And then we played them enough that we were able to do one record. Uh, what the reason that we've kept going is because we've kept writing songs, which is something that I didn't really ever expect. I mean, I really didn't think that we would have written, 9 records worth of material. And when you look at the new one, that's why it exists. Really, is because we just started writing some songs. And when you write a song, the first thing you want to do is play it for somebody, and then you want to play it live. And then after a while, you've played it live, and you go, well, let's go in the studio and see if we can figure something out with this.
I love that. Talking about many talents, both of you, I mean, Michael, you've composed also for major films, and Kevin, you're an amazing actor and have acted in incredible films. What's your inspiration behind, how do you get into character? And then I'm going to ask Michael what his favorite film you composed for, and if you've ever had a favorite film of Kevin, of yours, that he's acted in.
Getting into character is a very, very long and complicated and deep process that I don't even really know how to begin with that, other than to say, what I like to think of it is I want to use myself and lose myself. I use myself in that I have to have experienced things. I have emotions. I lived a life that's filled up my heart with things that are ready to tap into. And then I want to lose myself in that I don't want to feel like it's Kevin. Like I want to walk in somebody else's shoes. When the camera's on and I'm someone says action, I want to feel like I'm another person. So to me it's the search for that sweet spot between using yourself and losing yourself.
I love that. Any favorite character or movie that you've played?
I'm kind of like a look down the road type person. I hope it's in front of me.
I love that. That's a great answer. And Michael, what about any films, any favorite films you've composed for?
Well, I'm kind of excited right now because I'm starting on another season of a show called Finding Your Roots with Henry Louis Gates. It's on National Public Television.
Such a good show.
And I went back and I wrote the first cue for that in 2008. And I realized that it's like 13 years it's been on from the very first incarnation. Wow. And, that's a wonderful thing to be associated, and that people really, the music that in fact, I'm writing a lot of new music because they're kind of sick of all the stuff from all the past. So, I mean, that's a really fun thing that people are watching, and it's been on for so long, and there aren't that many TV shows that, last that long.
Yeah. I was going to say, it's very hard in this business to let anything last long. So that's incredible.
As far as Kevin's film, I'm waiting for the next one. Bring it on, bro.
Well,
I got to get to work.
Well, you've been in You Should Have Left, by the way, watched it twice. Love it. Amazing.
Thank you.
Great work. Amanda Seyfried, you've acted in it. Did you like working on that film? It's on video on demand. People can check it out right now if you guys are listening. So talk to us about how you got into that character, because that's pretty freaky. I mean,
it's a scary movie, and it was a really fun movie to do because it was soup to nuts with my good friend David Koepp, who directed a movie years ago called Stir of Echoes, and we've stayed close friends, and we developed this story together. He's the writer. I'm not a writer, but we had this idea that we got from Kira of making a scary movie around a marriage. And it just kind of, from the time that we had that conversation to the time we found ourselves in Scotland shooting was about a year, which is a pretty quick process. So I produced it, and Amanda was great to come on board, and It was a fantastic experience. I loved it.
Great movie. Any favorite song off the album for the both of you or something that you guys feel exceptionally connected to?
Well, I guess for me, it would be The Way We Love. I used to play by myself all the time. And once you stop that and you go to a band, it's very hard to go back to it because you're just used to all this other stuff around you. And when people ask me to play, at a wedding or an event or something like that by myself, it's hard for me to find a song that I really want to sing by myself. And this song really works for that. And I can pull it off just with the guitar. And I think it's kind of a milestone of my life. And I'm very proud of it. And I'm glad to get it out in front of people. And I hope people like it.
Kevin?
What he said.
I love the brother bond. One last thing, anything we can look forward to in 2021 for the Bacon brothers, for Kevin Bacon, for Michael Bacon individually? What can we look forward to?
Wow.
I know, I'm just asking loaded questions here. I don't know.
I don't know. It's like I have such a strange looking ahead right now seems so kind of overwhelming. I'm just trying to get through today.
Or anywhere that fans can connect with both of you. Is it social media? Are you guys doing a virtual maybe concert coming up? Something?
I would like to do that. We've started to talk about that, and I think that would be really fun. I mean, I sort of see it as a kind of record release, kind of a listening party for the record, and it would be really good for us, and I think really enjoyable for us if we could do it safely, to find some place where we could put on something, virtual. And we've only done one thing like that, which was a old Rolling Stones cover called from a song called Coming Home. Michael changed it to Staying Home. And it's complicated because we all shot in different places and then had to mix it and pass it around and stuff. And it's fun, but to actually get together like as a band and play would be really fun.
If you guys can let us know, where can everybody follow you? Where can everybody download all this music? I've been binge listening to the album all week. I can't get enough of it. You guys can let us know.
We're across all the platforms, and baconbros.com, and we're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I don't know.
All the cool things, right?
Hey, this is Kevin Bacon.
And this is Michael Bacon from the Bacon Brothers.
Tune into our interview with Chanel Omari on Chanel in the City.